Ever wondered how we got from giant wooden boxes to the incredible cameras in our pockets? It's a story that's way more fascinating than you might think, and it all starts not with a camera, but with a dark room. The camera obscura, which is just Latin for dark room, was a phenomenon known for centuries. Imagine a completely dark room or box with a tiny pinhole on one side. The light from outside would pass through that hole and project an upside-down image of the outside world onto the opposite wall. Artists used this trick to trace landscapes and portraits with amazing accuracy. It was like magic, but it was just physics. The only problem? You couldn't save the picture. It was a fleeting, temporary image. The dream of capturing that image permanently, freezing a moment in time, was what drove inventors for generations. And that's where our real story begins, with the quest to trap the light. The first person to truly succeed was a French inventor named Joseph Nicephore Niepce. This guy was obsessed. He experimented with all sorts of materials, trying to find a substance that would react to light and hold an image. In 1826, after years of trial and error, he finally did it. He coated a pewter plate with a type of asphalt called bitumen of Judea, which hardens when exposed to light. He placed this plate inside a camera obscura and pointed it out the window of his upstairs workroom. Then, he waited, and waited. For a full 8 hours, the plate sat there, soaking in the faint sunlight. After the exposure, he washed the plate with a solvent, which dissolved the unhardened, unexposed bitumen, leaving behind a faint, permanent image of the view from his window. It's called View from the Window at Le Gras, and it is officially the world's first photograph. It's grainy, it's blurry, but it's a captured moment in time. A huge breakthrough, but let's be honest, an 8-hour exposure time isn't exactly practical for taking a selfie. Enter Louis Daguerre. Daguerre was a Parisian artist and showman who initially partnered with Niepce. After Niepce's death, Daguerre continued the work and had his own eureka moment. In 1839, he introduced the world to the daguerreotype. His process was revolutionary. He used a polished silver-plated copper sheet, made it light-sensitive with iodine vapor, and exposed it in a camera. Here's the genius part. The initial exposure was much shorter, maybe a few minutes instead of hours. The image was latent, meaning it was invisible at first. Daguerre discovered that by exposing the plate to mercury vapor, he could develop the image, making it appear like magic. Then, he fixed the image with a salt solution to stop it from reacting to light any further. The result was a stunningly sharp, detailed, one-of-a-kind image on a mirror-like surface. It was a sensation. Daguerreomania swept across the globe. For the first time, ordinary people could have their portrait taken. It was still a process. You had to sit perfectly still for several minutes, but it was a world away from Niepce's 8-hour ordeal. Photography was no longer just an inventor's dream. It was becoming a reality for the public. But the daguerreotype had its limits. Each image was unique and couldn't be easily duplicated. And the process was still complex and expensive. The next giant leap forward came from an American innovator named George Eastman. Eastman had a vision. He wanted to make photography as simple as using a pencil. His first big move was to ditch the heavy, fragile glass plates. In 1884, he patented the first practical photographic film in a roll format. This was a game changer. It was flexible, lightweight, and could hold multiple pictures. Then, in 1888, he released the product that would change everything, the Kodak camera. It was a simple, lightweight box camera that came preloaded with enough film for 100 pictures. Its slogan was brilliant: "You press the button, we do the rest." A customer would buy the camera, take their 100 photos, and then mail the entire camera back to the Kodak factory. The company would develop the film, print the photos, and send them back along with the camera, reloaded with a fresh roll of film. Suddenly, you didn't need to be a chemist or a rich enthusiast to be a photographer. Anyone could capture their family picnics, vacations, and daily life. George Eastman didn't just sell a camera, he sold memories. With photography in the hands of the masses, the technology started evolving at lightning speed. The roll film invented by Kodak opened the door for smaller, more portable cameras. A major milestone was the introduction of 35mm film, which was originally used for motion pictures. In 1925, a German company, Leitz, released the Leica I. This was a beautifully engineered, compact camera that used 35mm film. It was small, quiet, and produced high-quality negatives that could be enlarged. It became the favorite tool of photojournalists and street photographers, allowing them to capture candid moments without drawing attention to themselves. Then came the next evolution, the single lens reflex camera, or SLR. The idea was simple but brilliant. With an SLR, you look through the same lens that takes the picture, thanks to a clever system of mirrors and a prism. What you see is exactly what you get. This eliminated the guesswork of framing your shot that you had with earlier cameras. The first 35mm SLR, the Kine Exacta, appeared in 1936, but it was in the post-war era that Japanese manufacturers like Nikon and Canon perfected the design, making SLRs the dominant camera type for professionals and serious amateurs for decades. For nearly a century, film was king. But behind the scenes, another revolution was brewing. Believe it or not, the company that pioneered this revolution was the same one that dominated the film era, Kodak. In 1975, a young Kodak engineer named Steven Sasson created a monster of a device. It weighed 8 pounds, recorded black and white images onto a cassette tape, had a resolution of 0.01 megapixels, and took 23 seconds to capture a single photo. This was the world's first digital camera. At the time, Kodak management wasn't quite sure what to do with it. They were in the business of selling film, after all. For years, digital technology remained a niche, expensive product mostly for professional use. But as computing power grew and sensor technology improved, digital cameras got smaller, better, and cheaper. By the early 2000s, the tide began to turn. People loved the instant gratification of seeing their photos on an LCD screen, the ability to take hundreds of photos without cost, and the ease of sharing them online. The digital revolution happened fast. Within a decade, film photography went from being the standard to a nostalgic hobby. Today, the principles of the camera obscura, the ambition of Niepce, the accessibility of Eastman, and the innovation of Sasson all live inside the smartphone in your pocket. It's been an incredible journey of capturing light, and it makes you wonder, what's next? Thanks for watching our journey through the history of photography. If you enjoyed this trip back in time, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories behind the tech that shapes our world. See you in the next one.